And then this month, still a week to go, and I've done 35K Australian in 1 month.
So I recently got a chance to interview one of the boys who just did $40,000 in commissions in a month. Not revenue, no shitty product, no counting your small amounts of profit, no ad spend, no testing products, no crypto, no trading, none of all of that boring shit and all of the shit that goes on behind the scenes and all these other making money online methods. See, Callum hit 40K in 1 month from one skill, and that was just sales. Now, Callum got his same training, his same education, the same coaching that I did from my mentors at ABC. Now, besides all of that, this isn't gonna be a video where I just sit and glaze the bro because he made so much fucking money. I know that a lot of you boys are gonna resonate with where Callum was at before he got into all of this. You know, his backstory, his thought process before going into this, what he was doing. A lot of this was to do with his family. A lot of this was to do with his missus, who you will find out more about once you go through this entire video. And I remember before I got stuck into all of this, and Callum is the same. Sometimes things feel so far out of reach. But once you go through this entire video and hear everything that he's kind of gone through, I know for a 100% fact that you are going to see and resonate with majority of what the bro says. Because we're all alike, majority of us men who know that we're meant for more. So stick around to the end, because I know that you're gonna gain a lot more insight than what you think. Here we have the main man, Callum. So Callum, bro, give a quick introduction to the people about yourself, you know, kind of what you're doing at the moment, what life's kind of looking like for yourself at the moment, bro.
Yeah, so I started basically doing sales. Now I work directly with a couple of businesses, and then I handle like all of their sales, all of their back end side of things. So run their appointment setting teams, closing teams, build systems, and basically just keep everything running and make the changes that we need to.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And yeah, you said beforehand you were kind of in sales, you're kind of doing bits and pieces. But now like you're doing like team systems, all this fucking mad shit, right? But I guess like before we got to, you know, where you're at the moment, like what was life kind of like beforehand, before, you know, getting into this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I was working a real estate gig before, and was earning like pretty like decent money with it. But the thing for me was just like still being locked down to one spot. My
Mm.
missus is from Sweden, so bit of a geographical problem there, and kind of got to the point where like you can earn good money, but when I'm still going to the office every day, stuck in traffic, and then doing long distance, it was kind of like not really worth it.
Mm.
And then for me, it was like you can see people making money online. And I think I got to the point where it's like even if I was making less, I valued having like the ability to be wherever or anything like that. And for me, it was just something where I kind of weighed up the options and then saw people. And obviously, I was happy to make a little bit less at the start, and then kind of morphed into something that I didn't think it would even get to be honest.
Yeah, because you've had a crazy, I will call it crazy, like being around you for a bit, bro. Is like you've had like this crazy process of like where you started kind of to where you're at now. But like the main thing for you is like, you know, being in corporate, being in that sales and that type of world. It wasn't just about just going to work and then being stuck in traffic. You also got a missus where like the long distance relationship thing's going on. So it's like the relationship would have been rocky, right? It would have been up and down.
Yeah, it was tough, especially having like time differences as well. So you're like a 6 hour time difference, and you're going about your thing on one side of the world, they're doing their thing, and then yeah, you're kind of just going to work, going through the paces, and then yeah, it puts a strain on it. It did like there's I guess positives to it, but it's definitely not something that you'd want to go through continuously.
Mm,
And that was like probably the point for me where I was like, I need to look at something else because doing this, well, one isn't feasible,
mm.
and two, it fucking sucks. So I was like, what's a way that I can have the best of both worlds, to be honest?
Yeah, and that was just going into something where you could actually make money online so that you not only didn't have to go to work at a job that fucking sucked, but also, you know, have a better relationship with your partner who's like in fucking Sweden, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's the thing, like since COVID, everything moved online. And
Mm.
pretty much what I was doing was majority online anyway. Like I was dealing with investors from over east and but I was still having to be in an office environment. Whereas
Yeah.
realistically, I could have been doing the same thing elsewhere, but you were stuck in this like corporate idea of like you have to come into the office, you have to be here, you've got to be face to face. And for me, like it just got to the point where it's like wasn't even worth that anymore.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And so like going from that transition, when was it that like you actually decided to make that change and then just get into something like this?
Yeah, so it would have been January last year. She
Yeah.
moved away. We had 6 months, and I was like, I'm gonna work it out. I'll do it. I was like, I had this sales ego. Like, I'm already in sales. I can just easily do it myself.
Yeah.
And then for like, yeah, it would have been 6 months of me trying, not getting anywhere with it. I'd kind of get to a point where it's like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then I'd get stuck, and then it would take me a week to figure out how to do something. I
Mm.
didn't have anyone to kind of like bounce anything off. So yeah, it was a bit of an ego death over like 6 months. And then when I went over there for 2 months, I wasn't working, and I was like, Jan, I'd much rather be doing this. And then from that point, when I got back, it would have been end of August 2024 was when I actually decided to like invest into some help, training, and then people that had like done it before.
Mm.
Because yeah, there was such a gap between where I was, where I wanted to be, and then also like the knowledge side of it, because you're going into something that you have literally no idea about, and you think you're going to know it, but it's not until you're in it, you're like, oh, there's so much I don't know. It'd almost be like if someone came to me and they went, hey man, I want to sell real estate. I'm like, oh, cool. Have you got any training with it? They're like, no, I watch YouTube videos. And I'd be like, yeah, cool. Go learn how to do it first.
Yeah.
So that was the point that I got to.
Yeah, he said a couple big things, bro. You already like come into this with a bit of sales background, and then you try to figure this out on your own. But for 6 months, it was just like roadblock, try this, roadblock, obstacles. I went through a similar process. I didn't even have a sales background, but even with somebody who had somewhat of a skill beforehand, 6 months of trial and error is really getting nowhere. And then you've noticed, oh, like I actually need to do something about this because like this is 6 months. I'm trying to run it up on my own. I actually need that help. I need that guidance. I need to pull my ego back, right?
Yeah, and realistically, if I look at it like any sales role that I ever went into, I had people that I worked under when I started. Like when I started selling real estate, you had a mentor that helped you and they looked after you for the first 2, 3 months.
Mm,
And I think anyone that's ever been into any environment like that, you've always had somebody help you through it.
mm.
But for me, it wasn't until I actually tried to do it all myself that I realized like, yeah, I actually need some help here.
Yeah. Especially for like 6 months, trying to do it on your own. Your missus is shot back off to Sweden or Switzerland?
Sweden.
Sweden. Your missus is shot off, and like you've got to make this happen, and then it's just not working. So I guess like touching on that topic, bro. I know a lot of people they want to try and do it on their own. They want to try and figure it on their own. They want to run it up. Oh, I'm sweet, big ego. Like we've all been there. But I guess like touching on that, what would be the biggest pointer that you would give to that person who tries to chase something on their own without, somebody who's done it before telling them what not to do and what to do?
Say like if it was anything else, and everyone makes it out like it's really easy to do. But if it was a trade, if it was a uni degree, anything like that, if you went to go get that job and had no prior experience and you taught yourself, they would laugh in your face. It's
Mm,
like it seems easy because all you do is you see people that have already made it. You don't see the 6, 12, 18 months of them just grinding it out, not getting anywhere.
mm,
And then when you just see the flashy stuff at the end, it's like, oh, that guy was able to do it. So that seems really easy. So I'd say like you don't know what you don't know. And for me, like 6 months, I had all the motivation in the world. I had like back up against the wall. I was like, I'm going to make this work. And realistically, when you haven't got like a path to follow, someone to ask, you end up in just like this loop of I'm going to try this. Oh, yeah, cool. This will work. And then 2 weeks later, you stop because you haven't made it anywhere and you can't see that kind of like end destination that you're going to. And when there's no like actual goal in sight or path to follow, then realistically, like your motivation just wanes.
mm.
So really just like having someone who's done it before, it can be like, yeah, cool, this is next. And I've learned things that I never even thought were possible, knew were a thing, but I'd never even know anything about that if I just tried to do it by myself the whole way.
Exactly. That's one thing I preach as well. There's so many. like you're saying, like 6 to 12 months of there's a whole learning process, and a lot of people just see the end goal, like the end outcome of what it looks like on the end, all flashy and stuff, but they don't see like all of the stuff that you have to soak in, learn, because no matter where you're at, you have a sales background, for instance, I didn't, and no matter where it is where you're at, you're going into a new field, so you have to adopt a new way of thinking and learn new stuff. And so, what I always preach or what I always find works best for me is learning from somebody who's done it so that I can avoid the mistakes that I'm going to make if I do it on my own. Because, like you were saying, 6 months of doing it, you bump into obstacle, shut shop, a bit of a lot of motivations like lost there. And so, like, what do you feel like has been like a major key thing from learning from somebody who's already walked the path before you, besides like the whole learning aspect?
I'd say they've already got the scars from going through it, and you can just avoid all of the things that they ran into. And it's like, cool, might have taken you 2 years to do it, but now you're like, this is what actually worked. And for me, like I've failed heaps of times. Like there's heaps of road bumps that I get to. There's heaps of parts that I get to where I'm like, what am I doing now? But you can go to someone and it's like, hey, I'm stuck here. Like this is a way that I did it. This one didn't really work. This is a way that did work for me. But that might have taken them 3 to 4 months to work out.
Mm,
So you can go to someone. And it's like you can get 3 to 4 months of time back just by them having done it before,
mm.
and you're speeding up the process, and it just makes it so much easier rather than just like going through hitting hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. And that's when people start giving up, is because it becomes too hard, and it's too hard because you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And especially like when you're working big days, whether you're in the office or you're on the tools, like you only have minimal time after work or before work to focus on where you want to go, like focus on something outside. And so, say you have like 2, 3 hours a day, if that, if you're trying to do it on your own, what would take you maybe a year to figure out and learn could just be shortened in like 2, 3 months from learning from somebody who, like you said, has already got the scars. And I think that's
Yeah.
another thing that, a lot of people misunderstand is the concept of time. It's a massive one. It's a massive one.
That's
But
the thing as well. Like when you're working, like for me, I was working 70 hours a week,
mm,
and people always say like, "Oh, I haven't got the time." And I was one of those people who's like, "I don't really have the time for this." It's like I don't have the time, so what? I'm going to waste more time every single day trying to work it out by myself. It's like, how about I just learn how to use my time more effectively? And it's the same as like a person that goes to the gym doesn't know or doesn't know how to work out, doesn't know how to use the machines, and they just like dawdle around. Takes them 2 hours to do it. Whereas the person who has like a structured plan, they've got a PT, they know what they're eating when they get home. They're there for 45 minutes, and their progress is a whole lot better than that person who's just trying to work it out on their own.
100%. I have a very similar real life analogy to the same thing where it's like if you go to the gym with a plan, you have all your meals and everything prepped for you. Say you want to lose weight, 10 weeks, lose 10 kilos. Whereas if you go to the gym, you're going to bump into that guy who doesn't have a plan, doesn't know if he wants to cut or bulk. And you see him at the end of the 10 weeks and he stays the same because he doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have anything structured. Nothing's laid out. He's just winging it. It's a same analogy you can kind of use anywhere if you're trying to go into anything without a plan or somebody to guide you along the way that's already kind of been through it. And I guess the next thing I want to kind of touch on, bro, is like why ABC though? Like you already been in sales, I'm sure you would have seen heaps of different, high ticket sales, education and stuff like that out there. I guess like why ABC?
Yeah, so I'd seen a bunch of them. Realistically, I'd seen a few of the guys from ABC for quite a while. Like probably been like 18 months that I'd been following a few people. And I'd seen like a few other places, but it kind of came down to the actual reputation of ABC and the actual sales training that they provided.
Hmm.
I looked at a few of the other ones and just didn't really fit what I was after. I didn't really trust it as much. I found like the actual layout of the training with ABC was a whole lot better than any of the other ones that I looked at.
Hmm.
But also having the ability to learn both sales and marketing,
Hmm.
whereas all of the other ones were, how do I just sell? And at the end of the day, if you just know sales, you're always just going to be an employee for a business or for a company. Whereas having the ability to learn both the marketing sides of it, the content side of it, and the sales part of it, then you can go out and run whatever online business you wanted to do. If you want to do a clothing brand, you want to do anything like that, it's all just how can you market and how can you sell? And having those two skills, not a single other place had the opportunity to learn both of those.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think that's a big thing as well. Is like it's one thing to just learn sales, but sales and marketing in and of itself is always in any business. You know, you think about SMMA, social media marketing agencies, right? They have the business, but in order for them to sell it, they have to get leads through marketing and then they have to sell it. And no matter what it is that you're going to run, real life business, online business, you're going to have to market it to get attention, get leads, and then know how to sell. So it's a skill that you kind of can take with you wherever. Um, you seeing some of the boys in ABC and stuff like that. I guess what was intriguing to you about like learning the marketing and the content side of stuff, like that type of high income skill when you already have that sales kind of background? Why was that important to you?
Because again, like you can have sales, but at the end of the day, like if I can learn both, then why wouldn't I learn both?
Mm,
Always just been wanting to learn new things and upskill. And I feel like coming into something, everyone's so fixated on like this is what I'm going to do, but you're like, oh, I want to be an appointment setter, I want to be a closer, but it's like you don't even know because you're not in it. So if I was going to go somewhere, it's like if I can learn both of those skills, and I don't use the content and marketing side of it myself, but because I've learned that, that allows me to work with businesses and I know how the content works, I know how the marketing side of it works, and I know how that integrates with the sales side of it.
yeah.
Whereas if I just knew the sales part, I would just be a closer for a business and I would have no skills to be able to upskill or move into anything else. I'd just be at this ceiling.
Yeah, yeah. So like if you kind of stuck around with just his sales skills, you're just like a one man show, one man army type thing where it's like that's the only thing that you're good at, that's the only thing you can provide value with, and you're just gonna end up as an employee. But like you said, it's like learning marketing, learning content creation. It's like now I know the systems, now I know how it works, and that way I can go to other businesses and I understand the content, I understand what they need to post, and I also know how to sell. So having both those skills, it's like now you're more valuable. You're not just an employee, right?
And you can see how it works with literally anything. Like everyone can be very, I guess, tunnel vision in the way of like, oh, this only works for that or that only works for that. But realistically, like they're umbrella skills that every business, regardless of what it is, if it's a brick and mortar store, if it's online, it's like it's all the exact same shit.
Mm.
But everyone's very like, oh, this only works for this. But you can see once you understand it, you can see how it relates in literally everything. So having both those skills, I think is yeah, massive.
100%. 100%. And since it was like November, no, August, you said, like since August, we're now in May. I guess what has the results been like for you? Like where are you kind of at now in terms of like how much money you're making like a month? Like what's the results like now?
Yeah, so first like couple of months it took me about 6 weeks to land an appointment setting role, took me about 8 weeks to land a closing role. I went through a fitness company, I went through a business to business marketing agency as well. And now I was at that point where I was making about 10K a month doing the setting and closing. Since coming into January, I set a goal for myself to make 20K a month this year. And then this month, still a week to go, and I've done 35K Australian in a month.
It's a big jump, bro. Big jump.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when you put inside the community here talking about how important goal setting is, and also looking back at your day, it's like, did I get enough done that aligns with my goal? And it's been pretty hectic to see you go from, you know, starting back in August, not posting content, just knuckling down on the skill, working B2B and stuff like that, to now going to 35K a month. I guess like the one thing I want to ask you, bro, like, do you have more time freedom now that you're doing this?
Yeah, I'd say like I can completely work on my own schedule.
Mm.
And I think for a lot of people, that's the most important part because the moment that you have to be somewhere at a certain time, that's the point when I start absolutely hating it. So for me, like I work better in the evenings. So I take the mornings. It's like I live in Perth. It's summer for like 9 months of the year. Enjoy the sun, chill out. I'm able to work down at the beach on my phone. I'm able to take my laptop wherever I want to. So in terms of like time freedom, location freedom, it's like I can literally just go wherever I want when I want. Like I'm moving to Sweden in 2 weeks' time. I just take my laptop, nothing changes for me. Literally just get to do the exact same thing over there that I was doing here. And I get to travel through Europe and do whatever.
Mm.
Whereas I wouldn't be able to do that if I was, yeah, doing my whole job.
And making 35K a month whilst traveling Sweden with your missus.
Makes it a bit easier than working at a bar, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%. I guess the last thing I wanted to ask you is like, what would be your piece of advice to somebody who was in a similar position to what you were in the beginning, doing it on his own, 6 months trial and error, but he's on the fence about, seeking that help and seeking that guidance. What would be your piece of advice to that version of you?
I'd say that to become the person that you want to be, you need to hold yourself accountable as that person. But
Mm.
if you don't surround yourself with people that are already in that position, then you don't know who you have to be. So you're hitting that by yourself. Sure, there's probably the 0.1% that have been able to do it because they got lucky on a crypto coin or something like that. But realistically, you need to hold yourself accountable every single day. And it's daily goals and it's 1% better every single day. But if you don't know how you should be holding yourself accountable, what you should be doing, then you're never going to get there. So I would say if you're on the fence and you're like me, where you think you can work it out by yourself, and if I had started this back in January, it's 35K a month
Yeah.
over 6 months. I don't even want to fucking think about how much money that is.
Yeah. I'm the same, bro. I'm the same. I'm the same. But I appreciate you jumping on, bro, spinning a bit about what your process and what your journey's been like. Looking forward to seeing where you kind of take it, especially being in Sweden, doing 35K a month, man. So look forward to catching up with you soon.
Beautiful. Cheers, bro.
Thanks, brother.